Welcome to the Razors Inc. podcast with your host, Jonathan Farini. If you've spent any amount of time with this podcast, you've noticed a recurring theme of underrated and overlooked. And for the subject of today's podcast, for certain generations, underrated and overlooked fits. But for another generation entirely, he's unforgettable. So pour yourself a drink, pull up a chair, and hear Jonathan's take on movies, television, and today, the voice of one generation. Here's your host, Jonathan Farini.
After 2 seasons and nearly 90 podcasts where I write and narrate about movies, television, and music, I've never devoted many podcasts about actors and actresses. I discuss them in the context of their movies, but very seldom focus a podcast about the career of a single actor or actress. Today, I'm being selfish and focusing on an actor whose career I followed for 6 decades, and many of his roles completed before my birth. Why? He's the antithesis of the Hollywood leading man, yet each of his roles define the art of acting, in my opinion, and he dominates every scene, every frame, and every minute of his roles. Moreover, I want to introduce his acting chops to about half of you who have likely never heard or seen of him, and half of you, because of age, know his name, likely a movie or two, or a famous television series he starred in. The remainder of you are cinephiles, and I'm certain you'll welcome this deserved recognition. I'll discuss why this actor is getting my special notice, and please pay attention because I'll ask you a question at the end of the podcast. When people talk about classic American film acting, they're usually starting with polish, Bogart's restraint, Cary Grant's elegance, Gary Cooper's calm authority. But American acting didn't stay polished. It got louder, it got heavier, it got more dangerous. And one of the men who pushed it there was Broderick Crawford.
Go back and call the Highway Patrol.
Yes, sir.
Tell them where you dropped me and how to get here. Tell them it's 1199.
What's 1199?
Officer needs help.
Do you need help?
I won't know till I get there.
Crawford wasn't meant to be a star. He doesn't have leading man looks, no romantic ease. But what he had was force, raw force. When he entered a scene, the air changes. Other actors adjust. The camera follows. He was born in 1911 into a theatrical family and was trained on stage, not in front of a lens. Broadway taught him to project, to claim space, to overwhelm an audience if necessary. That training never softened for him. He didn't scale himself down. He brought the stage with him. It's been told he dropped out of Harvard to go to work on the seaport docks as a longshoreman, which I believe had as much to do with his theatrical presence as the stage. Physically imposing and emotionally blunt. He's not refined, he's real. In an era of tidy performances, he felt like a problem Hollywood hadn't yet solved. Throughout the 30s and early 40s, Crawford played heavies and authority figures. The Last Gangster, When Ladies Meet. They were often supporting roles, but rarely supporting presence. He didn't decorate scenes. He leaned into them. But everything changed with All the King's Men in 1949.
My friends, I have a speech here. It's a speech about what this state needs. There's no need in my telling you what this state needs. You are the state and you know what you need. You over there, look at your pants. Have they got holes in the knees? Listen to your stomach. Did you ever hear it rumble for hunger? And you, what about your crops? Did they ever rot in the field because the road was so bad you couldn't get them to market? And you, what about your kids? Are they growing up ignorant as dirt, ignorant as you because there's no school for them? No, I'm not going to read you any speech. But I am going to tell you a story. It's about a hick. A hick like you, if you please. Yeah, like you.
As the character Willie Stark, Crawford delivered one of the most ferocious performances in American cinema. He didn't act charisma, he weaponized it. He was loud, sweaty, volatile. He made power feel physical. You understood why crowds followed Stark, even as he curdled. What made the performance historic wasn't volume, it was contradiction. Crawford made Stark magnetic without nobility, corrupt without apology. He didn't soften the character to win sympathy. He dared us, the audience, to stay with him. The Oscar for Best Actor followed. And in many ways, that was the beginning of the Oscar curse, so to speak. More to come. Hollywood wanted Willie Stark again, with the same heat, the same explosion, safely contained like a nuclear reactor contains nuclear fusion. Crawford wasn't interested in repeating himself. He gravitated instead towards authority, poisoned by corruption. In Scandal Sheet, 1952, Crawford plays a newspaper editor who commits murder to protect his image.
A washed-up drunken rummy who had nothing to live for against a career that was just reaching its prime. It wasn't an even exchange.
You've got a great career ahead of you now.
That's all down the drain. I gotta make different plans now.
You should have started running when you got my wire, sucker.
I gambled. The stakes are big enough you don't run unless there's nothing else left to do. Don't try it, kid.
This is a quieter performance, but colder. He doesn't rant, but he calculates. Power here isn't loud. It's bureaucratic. Crawford understood that evil doesn't always shout. In The Mob, 1951, he's a corrupt dock boss. And again, Crawford refuses caricature.
You know what you're talking about?
All I know is I want to go to work.
Castro's boss, huh? It's pretty rough work on the docks. You know how to run one of these?
Sure, I ran one in the Army.
It's better work than wrestling boxes. Hey, Coolio. You better know what you're talking about. Flynn here's taking over your lift today. You go on down and unload with the rest.
What do you mean he's taking over? That's my job.
Not anymore, it ain't.
What do you think
Shut
you
up.
get off?
You want to work, get on down. If you don't, beat it.
You and me are gonna have a small talk later on.
I'll be busy thinking of things to say.
Come on, Flynn, I'll put you to work. Now go on, beat it.
And let's have a full day's work for a full day's pay.
His menace feels routine, very procedural, as if violence were simply part of the job description. I'm certain his experience working the docks was inspiration. Then comes Human Desire in 1954, directed by Fritz Lang. This may be Crawford's most physically frightening performance. But in my opinion, he doesn't threaten. He occupies. His body does the acting. How he stands, how close he gets, how he breathes. There's no speechifying, just pressure.
Well, I thought you could talk to him. I need somebody important to help me.
I just can't walk into his office and start asking for favors.
Why not? Big men like him are used to having favors asked of them. You said once he liked you. If Owen puts in a word, why he'd listen. All right, I know I should have been smarter with Thurston, but well, you know me. One thing I can't stand is a guy trying to put something over on me. Look, baby. Call Owens. Tell him we'll come to the city tomorrow and that you want to talk to him for a couple of minutes.
I'd rather not, Carl.
Why not? What's wrong with a wife trying to help her husband? Come on, baby. What do you say?
That was Crawford's technique. He acted from the body outward. He crowded scenes. He broke rhythm. He made other actors react instead of perform. That's why he so often outshone entire casts. He refused politeness, even in lesser films like Last of the Comanches or Lone Star. Crawford treated very thin material with full commitment. He didn't condescend to be pictures. He attacked them. Crawford was an actor's actor. But that intensity came with consequences. Crawford drank heavily. He clashed with directors. Studios want control, and Crawford resisted. By the mid-1950s, the film roles narrowed. Then television entered the picture. No pun intended.
Whenever the laws of any state are broken, a duly authorized organization swings into action. It may be called the state police, state troopers, militia, the rangers, or the highway patrol. These are the stories of the men whose training, skill, and courage have enforced and preserved our state laws.
In 1955, Crawford became Dan Matthews on Highway Patrol, and suddenly everything made sense. Television didn't need glamour. It needed authority. Crawford's gravelly voice, his clipped delivery, and absolute lack of vanity made him believable. In a way, few actors were. While other film stars struggled to shrink for the small screen, Crawford expanded.
You ever do any business with Yates General Store?
Yates? Well, I
mean buying and selling. Buying and selling items such as these. Those checks were issued to you by Yates. He also sells automotive supplies. He admits to buying large quantities for cash. The dates of his purchases coincide with those of the recent burglaries.
This has nothing to do with me. What are you trying to do?
Oh, I'm just stating a few facts that may or may not concern you, that's all. Such as the dates and the amounts of the burglaries, Yates' purchases, the express checks, they coincide all the way down the line.
What are you trying to do? Turn my own son against me?
You've already done that, Mr. Elliott. I've been on this patrol a long time. I've seen evil and ugly things, but it's the first time I've seen a father allow his son to go to trial for crimes that he committed.
The camera didn't tame him, it submitted to him. Viewers didn't watch him to admire him. They watched him because he felt inevitable. So, was the Oscar for All the King's Men a curse? Not exactly, but it did freeze him. Hollywood wanted the explosion without the danger. Crawford refused to dilute himself. What audiences responded to wasn't attractiveness, it was truth. Crawford represented American masculinity that was excessive, flawed, emotionally exposed. He made room for actors who weren't smooth, who weren't beautiful, who didn't apologize. His legacy isn't elegance. It's permission to act. Permission for American acting to be loud, messy, and morally compromised, and alive, opening the door for Brando and more actors like him to simply walk through. In my opinion, Broderick Crawford didn't glide through film history. He pushed through it. And American cinema is rougher, braver, and more honest because of his push. But has it remained so? You be the judge when you look at the cast of actors and actresses of today. Back to my question from the beginning of the podcast. Do you think Broderick Crawford would make it as an actor today? If yes, you're the reason I recorded this podcast. Hollywood doesn't require every actor to be a leading man or a leading woman. Look at the succession of supporting actor and actress Oscar winners who won because of performance talent, not their appearance. To aspiring actors and actresses, keep showing up and doing what you do best. If you answered no, I also agree. It would be difficult for Broderick Crawford starting his career today because the business has changed. The studios and networks are seeking a wider demographic, and frankly, an actor like Broderick Crawford would find it difficult to fit into the types of roles written today. Thank you, Broderick Crawford. Until I see you next time, please leave behind a soft footprint, and remember,
2150 to headquarters.
Class is dismissed.
And as someone who works with voices, my own and others, I can't help but admire that voice, gargled with gravel and washed down with whiskey and a cigarette, which is why Crawford was often in demand in commercial work. Work it, when and how you can. You've been listening to the Razors Inc. podcast with Jonathan Farini. Be sure to check out Jonathan's collection of fiction at jonathanfarini.com. Also, look for Jonathan's short story, Used Steinways, a story of friendship, growth, and the love of pianos. Used Steinways, already published in Egophobia and Borderless magazines, it's been published again in the February edition of Mobius magazine. Find it at mobiusmagazine.com. You can also drop an email anytime to razorsincpodcast@gmail.com.